Good afternoon. It is an honor to welcome our 15 exceptional teachers, our committee members, our sponsors, our Fort Worth ISD board, our principals and staff to the celebratory event, the 2016-2017 Chairs for Teaching Excellence Awards Luncheon.
Patty Sykes has been an educator for 26 years, 22 with Pascal High School. She was awarded Teacher of the Year last year. I have a list of wonderful things that were said about her by her colleagues. I wish I could read them all, but I want to read two very quickly for you. She is one of the most passionate, committed, engaged, and caring teachers I have ever known. Her opinion is truly respected. She is respected because she listens to them, she fights for them, she truly cares for them, and she wants to make each one of them the best educator and or student he or she can be. And I have about 100 other quotes that are very similar to that. Mr. Sewell, who I work for at our orientation, recently said something that resonated with me that I thought really applied to Patty today. He said, "The wonderful journey of education never stops because there is no finish line." So congratulations, Miss Patty Sykes.
From the time I entered school to the time I graduated in college, teachers have played a very important role in support of my life. My father passed away when I was in the second grade, and it was my second grade teacher that just took care of me and loved on me. It was my history teacher in the 11th grade that told me I needed to be a teacher and that I better be a history teacher because I was the first one in my family to go to college. I didn't know anything about college applications, and it was my high school teachers who gathered around me and urged me to go to Texas Wesleyan University because they felt it was the best fit for me. And they were spot on because it was there that I still received the same nurturing environment that I received when I was in school from my professors there. As Dennis said, I truly don't see what I do as a profession. I see it as a calling on my life to do for children what was done for me when I was in school. And the closer I get to retirement, I see that calling strengthen even more in my life. I thank God every day when I walk into Pascal High School that I get to teach the subject I love to the children I love. They are truly my resume. They are the ones who made me who I am today. One of my favorite authors, C.S. Lewis, once said, "The task of the modern educator is not to cut down jungles, but to irrigate deserts." And so I plan on irrigating a few more deserts before I say goodbye. Thank you again. Thank you.
Fran is truly an exceptional math teacher. And the results, the numbers are there. You can see it in the number of kids that are doing well and passing to math. And it's just our privilege to be able to support her.
25 years ago, there was a little girl who just migrated from Vietnam to this land of opportunity and freedom without any language skills. If it wasn't for her 7th grade English teacher, Mrs. Newbill, who believed in her, she wouldn't have made it through. That little girl is me. My former English teacher believed in impossible things. She believed in me. She told me, "Tran, if you believe, you will achieve." Why do I teach? I teach because of the inspirations my former teacher instilled in me and because of my students like Durante. Durante has learning disability that classifies him as special education student. Durante struggled to pass his algebra STAR test many times. Durante was about to give up. He and I were literally fighting almost every day to keep him in school, and many times the slogan, "If you believe, you will achieve," was used over and over again. Durante and other students were so tired of hearing it. They told me, "Miss Nguyen, chill, we got this." When I explained something to a child who was clearly lost, and see that recognition in their face, that spark in their eyes, like some light just blinked on in their head, I got a rush. That I was truly making a difference and already provided something valuable, something someone would use for the rest of their lives. Every day when I teach, I get the same satisfaction when I was a kid myself, when I realize I'm helping these students in a way that still seems unfathomable to me. Durante took the test one last time in May before graduation and scored more than he needed to pass. Durante gave me the biggest and the longest hug as he walked across and down the stage at graduation 2 years ago. There were tears of joy, and it was one of the most beautiful and memorable moments in my teaching career. It is our job as an educator to help these students learn to believe in themselves and to proceed to the next step in their lives, in reaching their knowledge so they can be better face future obstacles. To FWISD and Nichols, I'm very honestly thrilled for this prestigious award. Thank you so much. I want to leave you with one quote. I'm sorry. From Miss Maya Angelou. She is she's I live by her quotes almost every day. When you get, give. And when you learn, teach. Thank you.
I'm Leanne Hageman. I'm with Outreach Communications. This is the 7th year I've been privileged to present this award. I'm very excited this year to introduce you to the recipient of the Outreach Communications Chair of Teaching Excellence in Elementary Reading, and it's Angela Tuttle. Angela's been teaching kids for 14 years, giving of herself and changing lives, and we've been blessed to have her in Fort Worth for the past 8, and I hope it's many more. Thank you, Angela.
When people find out I'm a kindergarten teacher, I often get responses such as, "Oh, you must be so patient," and "Oh, they are so cute." I even get "bless you," and the one I like the most is, "How do you do it?" I do it because I absolutely love it. I get to witness so many firsts from so many students each year. The first day of big school, first to sit in the cafeteria and buy a tray lunch, first to walk into school without mom or dad, first to announce a birthday on the loudspeaker, and first to read a real book. I have the privilege of guiding children into the wondrous world of literacy for the very first time. I help form the first impressions regarding school and being a lifelong learner. And most importantly, I get to shape their reading lives. Thank you, Outreach Communications, for your dedication in sponsoring this prestigious award, which honors and validates reading teachers for the essential work that is done each day. I will treasure this first experience and recognition for a very long time. The power of reading opens an abundance of possibilities and is the most precious gift that I can give to others. I would like to close with a note from a former student who is currently in the 4th grade. I feel great about reading now because you inspired me to read in the first place. You could read in a great voice and got me interested in it, and it felt like I was really in the story when you read it. With kindergartners, each day begins as a new first. I am deeply moved and humbled to share a love of reading from the very first day. Thank you.
It's with honor that the Lockheed Martin Chair for Teaching Excellence in Elementary Mathematics goes to Elizabeth West.
For as long as I can remember, I have loved math. I have always wanted to know the why behind the answer, and in addition to my parents, I had many teachers who encouraged my questions and wondering. Growing up, I always wanted to be a teacher like my dad. Though when it came time to go to college, I decided to pursue a major that would let me use math. Throughout college and a few years after, in the back of my head was a little voice telling me, "You're supposed to be a teacher. You can teach math. You can help students to have that same love of math that other teachers instilled in you." Though teaching can be challenging, I'm glad I finally listened to that little voice, because some of the best moments I have as a teacher are when my students truly get a concept, and even sometimes when they don't, they still announce, "Miss West, I love math." Hearing my students say that and knowing that in some small way I might have helped inspires me to continue encouraging a love in math in all my students. Thank you.
You have to have a love for mathematics if you're going to be an engineer, but you really have to know how to apply science. So it was great to talk to Jennifer Gilmore and hear how she inspires her young students to be inquisitive and ask questions. Why do things do the things they do? What are the laws of science behind that? So it's an honor for me to present the Lockheed Martin Chair for Teaching Excellence in Elementary Science to Jennifer Gilmore.
The summer before kindergarten, I had been beaten black and blue by my stepfather, causing my mother and I to flee our apartment complex. We moved back into my grandmother's house with just the clothes on our backs. And then came the harassing phone calls, the knocks on the front door, the screaming and yelling matches between my mother and my stepfather in the front yard. And then shortly after this, my mother took sick, and she discovered that it wasn't just the stress of a nasty divorce that caused her to be so sick, but that she was actually pregnant with a second child. Needless to say, my home life was upside down when I began school. And when I went to school here at M.M. Walton Elementary School, my teachers, they didn't know this. All they knew is that I was late to school every single day. I was the one that never had money for lunch. I was the one that never had money for the book fair. I was the one that wore ugly old clothes to school. I was the one that never got to go on field trips because we were afraid that my stepfather might show up and then what would happen. So elementary school was tough, but my teachers showed love for me, and boy did I thrive. They created that safe learning environment for me since home was not so very safe at the time. They filled that hole in my heart so that I was able to grow. And I still remember to this day the name of every single elementary school teacher I had. I had Mrs. Wilkerson for kindergarten. I had Miss Tarpley for first grade, Miss Pyle for second grade, Mrs. Gerwig for third grade. I had Miss Robinson for fourth grade and Miss Joyner for fifth grade. It was my second grade teacher, Miss Pyle, who said, "You know, Jennifer, you're good at explaining things. You should be a teacher when you grow up." I had sassed her, but you know, it worked out pretty well. Later on, it was my 11th grade teacher, Mrs. Jordan of Crowley ISD, who told me, "You should be a teacher when you grow up." My parents didn't think so, and they encouraged me to pursue business. But then as the years went by, my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, he's like, you're good with kids, you're good at teaching, you should be a teacher. And so here I am today. I teach second grade not because I'm good at explaining things, not because that I know stuff, but because I long to give back. I long to create that safe environment that was given to me at such a vital point in my life. The saying is true. A person will not always remember what you said, but they'll remember how you treated them. I am living proof of that. And I believe that's what we as teachers need to do for our students. When we make them feel safe, then they'll be able to learn. It's only then that we'll be able to reach their hearts.
Natalia beat out the competition because her view of art goes way beyond what you might think. Number one, she's a lot of fun, and she loves the kids, and all of that is good. But she spoke to us about advocating for lower economic students and teaching them the hidden middle-class tools through art. She talked to us about social justice, excellence, and equity, and those kinds of really, really important things that students need to know and get that confidence that they can be anything that they want. And I'm really thrilled for her. I could read these testimonials from my whole page of them, but better than that, I want you to meet Natalia Dominguez, and we are so proud of her. Thank you.
It is a great honor for me to be here before all of you accepting the Angela D. Paulos Chair for Teaching Excellence in Visual Arts, as I originally was going to be a marketing major in college, and it only took me 9 years to graduate. That's right. I was going to travel the world and be an international businesswoman, and if anyone told me, Natalia, you should be an artist, or Natalia, you should teach, I would respectfully disagree. Little did I know. Well, while I was at UTA studying marketing, I was working in an after-school program in lower-income neighborhoods in north side of Fort Worth, and I was also showing my art at the underground art shows. It was during those years that I realized how important art was to the students, especially because the reality was that those hardworking parents couldn't afford to send their children to private art classes. Yet the transformation that I saw before my eyes inspired me to my core. I finally stopped fighting my destiny, and during my junior year of marketing, I changed my major to art education. As an art teacher and advocate for my students, it is my priority to bring equity in the education world through the arts. As life would have it, Fort Worth ISD had a hiring freeze upon my graduation, and I returned to retail, worked on my art portfolio, and substituted for a year and a half. My father did ask me, Natalia, what is it going to take for you to be a bilingual teacher? And I said, well, Dad, it's going to take me wanting to be a bilingual teacher. See, for me, art breaks through all the barriers: language, cultural, religious, and socioeconomic status. In my first year of teaching, I quickly realized how little time students actually spend in art. And that inspired me to advocate for my students deeply, especially for my low economic students, and teaching them the hidden middle class tools to succeed through the arts, creating and inspiring them. This is my teaching philosophy, which I call the right to art. Join me in advocating for children's right to art by refraining from saying, I'm not artistic, I can't even draw a stick figure, because art is more than just drawing. It's about problem solving, expressing, creating, and connecting and healing. To me, art is a verb. Are you arting? Do you art? Have you arted lately?
This year's recipient, Stacia Graves, is, another winner. We've had winners every year. They're really fabulous people. She has been a teacher for 10 years and with the Fort Worth ISD for 5. And one of the quotes that was provided for me was by her principal, who's here as well, where he says that Miss Graves is a dedicated hard worker who believes in success for all children, and she makes no excuses for any child to be successful in music. Now, if I'd been her student, she might have had to make excuses. So, on that note, please come up, give us a few words. Thank you.
There are many reasons I choose to be a teacher, but the most important are being able to share passion for music, to guide the creativity of students while helping them develop confidence and character, and also to provide meaningful opportunities for my students. Encouraging commitment and growth in musicianship sets an example they are able to imitate in other areas of life, regardless of whether or not they choose a career in the performing arts. We are preparing our kids now in elementary school so that they will continue to engage in their school communities at the middle and high school levels. As music educators, we are teaching students to have a strong work ethic, to set high expectations, and to work together in their community. There is tremendous value in this effort. Wise campus leaders see this potential and advocate for a well-rounded education for all students. Great leaders do not pull opportunities away, but creatively harness the power of the arts community to work as a team so every student benefits at their highest individual level. Music is a language we all share, regardless of our backgrounds or circumstances, and we can all agree on that. For many of my students, music has been a confidence booster. For me, as a child, music was a refuge, an inspirational outlet providing a sense of direction, and it was my family. I would like to share a short story for you. One of my very good friends, a middle school music director, allowed me to share this. One of her students lost his mother recently to cancer in October. just a couple of days before his school concert that, of course, he was excused from attending. My friend looked up 10 minutes before the concert, and there he was in his seat. After giving him the biggest hug, she asked him what he was doing there, and he said to her, "I needed to sing." We need to ask ourselves, how many of our students need to sing? Are we providing the opportunities to our students that they deserve? And how can we create connections within our own individual situations and inspire our surrounding communities to come together and educate together and create together? I hope that over my teaching career, my students leave the classroom with the confidence to take risks, that they believe in their own unique contributions and carry a passion for achieving their goals in any career that they pursue. Thank you very much to my awesome sponsor, to Performing Arts Fort Worth, and everyone responsible for giving all of our students in Fort Worth ISD the opportunity to succeed at their highest level. Thank you.
For the past 5 years, I've had the honor of joining the panel to consider and select the Health and Physical Education Chair, and it has been an incredible journey, but this year I was moved like I haven't been moved before. She showed us how by using her own issues and her own struggles in her life, she speaks the exact same language as these high school students and conveys to them a sense of trust that we saw back to her when we presented her with the award at the school. She's got a group of students that love her because she loves them, and she's shown them respect in a way that really blew our whole panel away. So on behalf of the law firm, I'd like to recognize Rachel Erisman for Health and Physical Education Chair.
Thank you. I've been blessed to be a part of the Diamond Hill-Jarvis community for going on 7 years now, and I can honestly say my students are my motivation. I go to work every day grateful to be with these kids, and every decision I make is for them. I try to do the best at my job that I possibly can for them. They have taught me something college never could, that knowledge is something an individual will always seek out to better themselves. As a teacher, I never want to stop making my classroom better for my kids. They deserve any and every opportunity to shine. It is extremely important to me that when students finish my semester of health, they are able to make the best choices in tough situations that protect their health and their futures. Every aspect of life requires learning for success. Being a part of someone's learning experience is both an honor and a privilege. Sometimes teaching can be a thankless job, and I know every recipient today is so honored to be recognized. Thank you.
I'm honored to be here to present Crescent's Chair for Teaching Excellence in Career and Technology to Wayland Scott. He's a little bit of a unique candidate this year for the teaching chair in career and technology. He branched out and applied because he utilizes technology in his classroom. So I want to share a couple things that we noted about Wayland. Wayland's goal is also that of the district, to foster and encourage each student's love of learning, particularly with his special education students. So I'd like to congratulate you, Wayland, on receiving the award, and to thank you for the inspiration and the dedication to your profession and your students that you've provided.
So Fort Worth has so many outstanding Gold Seal of Choice programs with excellent teachers educating the students. Why is a special education teacher standing on this podium for career and technology education? It's because the growing role of technology has in special education. And for some of my students, especially my students with autism, a goal in life is to close themselves off as much as possible from our shared reality. My relationship with them, the ability to understand their needs and interests and create technological tools for them to explore, pulls us together. Implementation of technology, software, and hardware is a minimum requirement to their learning, but excellence in special education classroom can only happen when the instruction delivered teaches soft skills to effectively use the available technology. Communication is a good example. When I started just a few years ago, before the district began promoting LAMP, and that's a software that facilitates a motor plan to communicate, I was more like a kind of multifunctional vending machine that, for my students, especially my nonverbal students. And back then, the best technology that we were using allowed them to use single word phrases when they wanted something like drink, eat, more. Now, our technology is not just giving nonverbal students a voice, but by communicating their thoughts and feelings, we share a common language that creates opportunity for positive interactions with all people they come in contact with. So for the past few years, our speech pathologists at my school have been spreading iPads throughout the district equipped with LAMP, specifically Words for Life, but more importantly, they're training the staff, like myself, to expertly teach students how to use this technology to communicate. So now, I want that. It tastes good. I like it. Or, if you can imagine, my nonverbal student, he can't speak with this voice. Last year when he told his teacher using his electronic voice software, nobody listens. Isn't that kind of communication powerful for all of us? So most of my students may not be successful in going to college or having a career, as our mission states, but with quality technology instruction, they will be successful in our community. Because when you teach problem solving, critical thinking, how to collaborate with your peers, it ignites their passion for learning and shows them the importance of being a part of our community. It's important not just to highlight how technology is good for special education or how my students have been using the technology, but why continued focus here is necessary for all of us to move forward. Thank you.
I just want to provide you a little bit of a glimpse inside of Angela's classroom. And one of the things that I learned about is a behavior bank that she has. And so she teaches students about counting and about responsibility with saving money by allowing the kids to get some type of reward for good behavior or for helping out. And the students then assign values based on what they think a particular reward might be worth. So pencils and erasers or plastic bugs or ice cream and cookies. And I think it's a really wonderful program. And when we sat down at the table, someone asked Angela, they said, well, what are you going to do with your check? She said, well, I think I've already spent it on the classroom. And so I hope that you haven't spent it all on plastic bugs. We really hope that you'll do something wonderful for yourself. So please join me in thanking Angela for what she does for our kids. So we're very proud to be able to present this check to you today.
Kind moments count. It's as simple as tying a child's shoelace. This simple act says, I care. I care about you, how you look, how you act, and if you learn. This is why I show up every day. My students and their families need me to show up for them as an educator and an advocate. Parents and their children may not always be trusting of the school system. It is my job to encourage that trust by building positive connections with parents and students. It is these connections that I can ask students and parents to do courageous things, things that they would not normally be comfortable doing. It takes courage and cooperation to help children grow from where they are into the adults that they can become. I know that I am only a small grain of sand in a child's life, but I am a grain that helps the foundation of a child's education. And if what I can teach can stay with that child for the rest of his life, then I have made a positive difference. It is up to me to make every teaching moment count, for teaching can truly change families, communities, and the world that we live in. It is a community of caring people that reveals new futures.
Erin Pfeiffer has been with Fort Worth ISD for 11 years and 8 years as a teacher. I think it is evident that Erin is more than a teacher to her students, but she is an extension of those students as well as their families. I think this was especially manifested when the committee and I visited her classroom at Morningside Elementary, when we heard all the students say, "I love you, Miss Pfeiffer," or "I'm so happy you're my teacher, Miss Pfeiffer." And it's my hope that when I have my future children, that my children will have a teacher half as loving, passionate, and empathetic as Erin Pfeiffer. It is my privilege and honor to introduce to you Erin Pfeiffer, who is our recipient for special education.
My mother has always told me that I was destined to be a teacher. Somehow I was just bossy enough to get all of the community kids and my little sister to participate in my summer educational program. And I'm not sure if I chose the field of special education or if it just chose me, because I've always had a deep, drawn connection to children with special needs. Sorry. Kids with special needs are so genuine, and they have so much to offer. I learn from them every day as much as they learn from me. In fact, one of my students is now a sophomore in high school, which kind of makes me old. And he's living in El Paso now, but every year he has to talk to me the night before school starts. He's told his mom, "I can't start until I talk to Miss Pfeiffer." And every year I wait for him to call me. And we talk a few times throughout the year, and every single time we talk, he reminds me, "Don't forget you have to come to my graduation." And I cannot wait for the day that I get to see him cross that stage with his peers. I'm so appreciative that I get to spend many years with my students, their 1st through 5th grade years. We become family, so it's more than just being their teacher. I'm very blessed to do what I love every day. Not everyone gets that opportunity. Now, every day is not sunshine and roses, as we know, right? Some days I have no idea what I'm doing or where I'm even going for the day, and I'm pretty sure I look like a hot mess at the end of the day. But that's when I have to stop, take a breath, and look around and remember why I'm here. It is not just my job to comfort them, but to teach them. And some days when I think it is my job to be there for them, I feel a tap on my leg, arms wrapped around me, and a whisper, "Miss Pfeiffer, I love you." And it turns out that I needed the hug of the day, not them. And that's what makes this my blessing. Thank you.
We like to recognize what we call science giants, or educators who provide inventive and hands-on science instruction to spark students' interest. The individual we're recognizing this year in the secondary science is Kristen Cotton, and she truly is a science giant. If you spend any time with her, it's easy to see that Kristen's enthusiasm for her subject matter, dedication to her students, and her campus are very contagious. She is incredibly focused on doing whatever it takes to support her students. Her principal, John Engel, shared that she is the model teacher on their campus is excellent at differentiating instruction to meet the individual needs of her students. You know, it's been said that good teachers can inspire hope, ignite imagination, and instill a love of learning. Kristen does all of those things and more. Thank you for what you do for the students at Southwest High School. Please join me in recognizing Kristen Cotton.
On the first day of AP Physics, most students are pretty apprehensive about what will happen in the new year. My favorite thing to convey to my new students is that I am here today because I love teaching. Teaching is not my fallback career. I don't teach because I couldn't find a better job. I don't teach because I was laid off during the recession. I explain to my students that I teach because I love it. Amazingly, I see their attention focus on me. I let them know that I model my teaching from the educators that I loved and respected and learned the most from. I address my students as scholars, just as my favorite professor did. I make it my goal for all of my students to be empowered by their education and their knowledge. I live for the chance to lead and push our girls into engineering and physics. I love having a hand in helping our young men learn in a safe and respectful environment. My teaching goals are to emphasize the importance of an education in an environment that makes equity a priority. My mission is to build up every young scholar so that each one will, in turn, build and improve our world. One day soon, this country will be led in the direction based on the choices and decisions made by these children. I pray every day that in this very small window of opportunity that I have with these scholars, that I am able to imbue not only the value of education, but also the preponderance of having a virtuous social conscience. Thank you very much.
In just the short amount of time we spent with Shatiqueka, we saw her passion and her commitment to be an effective educator. Atmos Energy is proud to support her passion and to assist Shatiqueka in her journey to open the eyes of her students and to expose them to a world that otherwise they might not have known. And so, Shatiqueka, on behalf of Atmos Energy, it's my honor to present you with this check for the Atmos Energy Chair for Teaching Excellence in Acquisition of Language.
Now, somehow I made it through my teacher preparation program at Eastern Michigan University, having juggled a full-time job, a full college course load, a young son, and on the edge of near insanity. I was told I would not be successful. Former Fort Worth ISD World Languages Director Carrie Harrington took one look at me and said I would. She helped me to look past my insecurities and my lack of experience and to see my possibilities. Although some would say that they never thought they would end up teaching, I always knew I would be a teacher. As a child, my sisters and I would come home and create worksheets to give to each other. And then we'd grade them, giving a star or a smiley face only if you had done a superb job. Needless to say, all three of us became teachers. But I don't teach because it was my destiny. I do teach because I love what I do. I have the privilege to sit amongst these curious, creative minds and to connect with them in the most unconventional way, through another language. In my classroom, they are no longer students, but global citizens. And every day is a day to learn about culture and music and to journey across the globe in pursuit of a world that they otherwise might not know. It is also an opportunity to teach tolerance and respect and to develop a sincere appreciation for the diversity that makes this community and this country so rich. Many of my students have never had the opportunity to travel and can't imagine a world bigger than their own neighborhoods. So I take it personally when I walk into my classroom. I was that underprivileged child from a single-parent household, attending Dunbar Middle School, that felt marginalized and limited and had never traveled past the border of Texas. So imagine my disbelief years later as I walk the streets of Madrid in awe that it was possible for my dreams to come true. I don't tell my students that speaking a language is important for them if they travel. I tell them it's important for when they travel. So hopefully, one day they too can see their own possibilities. Muchas gracias y que Dios los bendiga. Gracias.
We're thrilled today to present the first ever Broadway at the Bass Chair for Teaching Excellence in Performing Arts in Theater and/or Dance to Cheryl Penland from Trimble Tech High School.
Thank you. I kind of wanted to enter on this scaffolding to make it a little more theatrical, but I didn't know if that would be appreciated or not, so I used the stairs. I'm happy to have with me my special guest, Karen McDaniel, who is a longtime friend and a large part of the reason that my career has gone as it has as an educator. She's also a mother, and she shared with me her very special son, Wendell Middlebrooks, who walked into my classroom my first year at Trimble Tech in 1994. I know some of y'all were still getting started in grade school yourselves back then. Wendell was an amazing man. We lost him in March of 2015, but not before he earned 2 degrees in theater, went on to have a lucrative Hollywood career in TV and film, on stage, and gave back at every opportunity that he had, including starting a scholarship fund at Trimble Tech, which we now continue to do shows to benefit so that we can award money to kids who want to also pursue a life in the arts. And Wendell was very special to me. Personally, as an educator, he was a wonderful man. And for me, he is a constant reminder of why I do what I do and why what I do is one of the most important jobs in the whole world. I lost my place in my notes a long time ago, so. Wendell came into Trimble Tech, and together we formed the first drama club on our campus. We began the first productions on our campus. And through Wendell, I saw that theater is so much more than creating good actors or putting on outstanding productions or teaching someone to operate a soundboard that is really complicated. Theater is a place to belong. Theater and the arts in general are a place where the misfits, the outcasts, the awkward, the kids who don't quite belong can walk in the door and find other people who accept them, who value them, who enjoy them, and who share that unusual view of the world with them. Theater can do that. Art can do that. And that is why it's so important. And that is why I feel like I am blessed to have one of the most important and one of the most fun jobs on the planet, because I get to see that magic happen every day with my students. So thank you to Performing Arts Fort Worth, to Broadway at the Bass, for our sponsors, for everyone who are willing to invest in that magic along with us. Thank you.
And I'm honored to present the award for secondary English chair position that Chase has sponsored for over 20 years. We were one of the original sponsors to our 2016 winner, Cindy Zepeda. When we asked her what it would mean to her personally to win the award, she deflected everything off of her and said it would really mean a lot to her school. Without further ado, let me introduce to you a wonderful teacher and a wonderful person, Miss Cindy Zepeda.
I feel very honored to be in such exalted company today as the 2016-17 Teaching Chairs of Excellence. Unlike a lot of them, I never wanted to be a teacher. I had zero interest in it. My son thought it was a good idea, and it took him the better part of a decade to convince me, but he did finally wear me down. It was a war of attrition. He won, as he usually did. Unfortunately, he died a couple of weeks before my first day in the classroom. And my first year was incredibly bad. It was a disaster. As a matter of fact, it was so bad, it's kind of a good thing he didn't live to see it, because he would have been embarrassed for me. Think about earthquake, tsunami, Fukushima nuclear reactor meltdown kind of bad. That was the kind of year that I had. The kind where you can't keep thinking this can't get any worse, but wait, no, here's another disaster. At the end of the year, as I surveyed the debris field that was left of my life, and it was widely scattered, I realized, well, I had an epiphany. The only reason that I survived losing my son was because I got 120 new Andrews. And I've had about 1,000 Andrews pass through my classroom in the last 10 years, and they bless me a lot more than I've ever blessed them. The day that I realized that that's the reason I survived, that's the day I really became a teacher. Since then, any success I've had has really been because my kids are my kids. And like any mother, I nag, beg, bargain, plead, badger, cajole them relentlessly to make good choices. Sometimes they listen, and sometimes we learn the hard way, but there's a lesson in that too. And like any mother, I'm excessively proud of their successes. I almost feel guilty for receiving this award today. Not that I'm going to give the award back, but I do want to acknowledge that working with children, while sometimes is trying, it is a tremendously rewarding experience. Thank you.
What a wonderful event. To look forward to this every year, and it clearly is a privilege for me to be here today and honor these 15 exceptional Fort Worth ISD educators. All of these teachers model exemplary leadership in the classrooms and on their campuses, and we celebrate your accomplishments, your effectiveness, your selfless commitment to our students. Highly qualified teachers are the district's greatest asset. Not only are you shaping the lives of our students, you're a mentor and a model to your colleagues. What we are striving for in Fort Worth ISD is quality education for all. As our mission, our governing board has established a wonderful mission for our district to prepare all students for success in college, career, and community leadership. And the single most important factor to achieve that mission is highly qualified and effective teachers with focus on students. The conversation about not only content, but connection. A connection from the teacher to the students, but connection from our schools to our community as well. With strong community partners, and that includes everyone in this room today, the future of Fort Worth ISD remains bright. Public education is the most important issue and the most important asset that we have in the city of Fort Worth. Teaching is the only profession that creates all other professions. So let's give our teachers a big round of applause. Thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful afternoon.